Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by MyLatorre. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. So before we get into today's episode, I wanted to announce that we have rolled out sparkles for your MyLatorre pop-ups, and we have gotten terrific feedback on it. What it does is it just kind of adds a little bit of shine and glitter to your pop-ups. It's super cute, and it also gets them seen. So you can find this, there's a little toggle button when you're editing your pop-ups, and you can turn it on and take a look and see what you think. And if you have not signed up for MyLatorre yet, you can go to MyLatorre, connect one of your accounts, turn on the sparkles, and also see what you think, and then possibly sign up and try it out. And remember, you get your first 30 days free. Okay, so for today's episode, I have Matt Molen back on the show. He is an email guru. He is from personalizedpaths.com. He teaches email marketing, but from a really hands-on sort of way. So again, he was a super popular guest the last time. People kept reaching out saying how much they learned from him. Well, we are going deeper this time. I'm asking him lots of specific questions, how to do things. So if you are doing email marketing, you're going to love this episode. If you are not yet doing email marketing, I think this will give you the push to start, because he is so good at making it doable. Okay, so without further ado, here is my interview with Matt Molen. Matt, welcome back to the show. I'm excited for part two.
Part two, here we go, Jillian.
Yes, I promised my audience that you would come back, and then I hounded you, and then here you are.
Yeah, so it didn't take much convincing. It was a lot of fun the first time, so I expect this to be a whirlwind of good times as well.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about what we did in the last episode was we really did the basics, right? We talked about your quick start guide. And by the way, I will link to the first interview, so anybody who hasn't listened to it can go back and listen to it. But we talked about just what I really like about you is your advice is very doable and makes a lot of sense. It's really practical, like your quick start guide.
I'm glad to hear that. It has worked really well for me and for my clients, and it was something of one of those aha moments, like, I need to share this with people because this is different than what most people are doing out there. So hopefully that continues to work for people that give it a try. So they really should pay attention to that quick start guide as an option.
Do you have any other, I know that is a way to start accelerating your list. Do you have any other tips on how to really kind of light a fire under, if you want to grow your email list, boom, do these different things?
Sure. And I think what you're looking for are some specific tactics, but I want to talk high-level strategy first, because much of this is mindset. Many of the people that will be listening to this podcast, if my experience is correct, don't have a lot of experience in thinking about email marketing. And so I want to talk about the mindset first that I try to instill to my clients. That is, become an email acquirer.
Okay.
And be aggressive about it.
What does that mean?
And so what I mean by that is that you add that into your strategy, make it an intentional part of what you're doing. So I'm talking about, you hear all the time, yes, you need to build your list.
Right.
Yes, you need to own your audience, because who knows what's going to happen with these algorithms.
Right.
Who's going to, it's the one thing that you can own. And all of that is absolutely true. But yet people get stuck going, okay, how do I do that? So here's my advice for people. High-level advice is I want you to put yourself in the shoes of your reader.
Okay.
How does she arrive to your site? And by the way, your traffic is still your number one list building tool. Your web traffic or your social media traffic or whatever. That's your number one list building tool. So put yourself in her shoes. How did she get to you?
Okay.
Where does she land?
Right.
Why is she there, and what does she want? What problem can you solve for her?
Okay.
Let's say that you're a food blogger and somebody lands on Instant Pot meatballs.
Okay.
Okay. What do we know about that person? Well, Number one, she's probably cooking a dinner, or she needs to make a meal for a larger group. That's why she's making meatballs. And she's using this new fandangled technology called an Instant Pot.
Right.
She owns one.
Yep.
And by golly, she probably wants to make other Instant Pot recipes as well at some point in her life.
Right.
So just thinking about that for a second, and knowing that she's there to get the recipe. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about your domain name. She won't remember it because Pinterest and Google will help her find you in the future.
Yep.
If you're the right one, or find somebody like you, because it's a very competitive space.
Right.
So what can you do to get her to stop in her tracks and give you an email address? Mm-hmm. Well, give her something that is of killer value. Now, the Quick Start Guide, please refer back to the previous podcast, is my go-to for that. But this also makes sense for anything that you can think of that adds bonus value. It can be, and I'm not the inventor of lead magnets. What I am conveying right now is very, very unoriginal, okay?
Right.
It's tried and true.
Right.
Checklists, printables, additional tips.
Yep.
Content that is hidden that you have to unlock. All of these things still work when you stop and you think about where the reader is and what she needs, and then provide the solution. You see people try to use lead magnets all the time. Oh, I've got this ebook for you.
Right.
Or sign up and get more recipes.
Right.
But is that really talking to what they're thinking about in that transactional moment?
Right.
When landed on your website?
Right.
So if you can think about the journey and how you can solve her problem, an Instant Pot. Some people get confused, for instance, on what are all the instructions on an Instant Pot.
Right.
Right. What if you had something that helped them solve that, and you gave that as a bonus on the meatballs page, or your secrets for how to get more out of your Instant Pot, or your favorite accessories for an Instant Pot. All of these things I'm just making stuff up. I don't know. I'm a microwave burrito kind of guy, so I don't know much about this stuff. But I'm just giving the ideas of if you start thinking that way.
Right.
Now it could be seasonal. Maybe they're landing on your page because you've got Halloween pumpkin stencils. All right, so you're crafty.
Right.
They only land on Halloween. People only look for Halloween pumpkin stencils at one time of year, and that's at Halloween. And my guess is that you could probably anticipate that and identify something to give in exchange for an email address that helps them with their Halloween.
I love that.
So it's really just thinking that way. Most people won't do it. And here's why they don't do it. There's a little bit of work involved. There's a little bit of thinking. And they're busy doing all the other stuff. So
yes.
So let me give you some ideas about, if I'm out there listening right now, okay, where do I start? Go to your Google Analytics. Do this in 2 different batches. Look at the last 30 days and look at the last year.
Okay.
Take your top 10 posts.
Yep.
Say, do these bucket into one category or a few categories? Like maybe they're all Instant Pot.
Yep.
Maybe they're all Halloween-y. Or do I need to look at these as individual entities that I can think about?
Right.
Like in each individual post, for example.
Right.
Then think about, what do I already have that I could package up and give them as a bonus.
Right.
In exchange for their email address when they land on this page.
Right. I love this. It's funny because when you started and you said everybody knows the money's in the list and grow your list and stuff like that, I feel like most people, including myself, think first like, oh God, I got to write another newsletter. You know what I mean? Like right. Somehow to tell people I'm alive or to say, hey, remember us, without a real intention. And instead of focusing on like, oh my God, I got to write another newsletter, because that's kind of part of what I do, not even questioning like, what's the purpose of it? I think what you're saying is, no, don't go there now. Like think in terms of providing value to your to your new potential audience to get them into it. And then like you could deal with the newsletter thing later, but that isn't even as important as really providing value up front.
Let me give you an example in your life, Jillian. If I went to catchmyparty.com and I came there because I was looking for baby shower themes.
Yep.
What do I know about that person that is there for baby shower?
Yep.
Well, we know about the age of their kids.
Yep.
We know some of the struggles. I mean, before this recording, we were talking about parenting. We know about the struggles because we've been down that road. We know what they're going to hit.
Yep.
Heck, they might be looking for gift ideas. They might be looking for how to get through pregnancy. They might be looking for all sorts of different things.
Yep.
How can you package that up?
Yep.
How can you take some of that and give something bonus that hits somebody related to baby shower themes?
Yep. Yep. No, yes, thank you. But you're totally, and we're not doing that. So that is tremendous. That is it. And by the way, you saying it, it's like, duh. It's absolutely, so that makes a lot of sense. So let's say, go ahead.
Just real quick to build on something you said. I want to talk about the mindset shift related to going forward now.
Okay.
Because it's still, so that I want to be an aggressive acquirer, but I also want to be a journey builder as I go forward. Today's technology with email allows us to simplify this whole concept of automation. So if I know that I'm getting people into my website that are interested in Instant Pot, I can take those people and I can use today's automation. I can create what I call a forever series.
Right.
And we talked a little bit about this, I think, last time. But the gist of it is still true, is that I can create automated answers to their next problems. Mm-hmm. So if I got somebody that's on my list that is interested in Instant Pot, and I got a ton of Instant Pot recipes and advice and tips and articles, why am I not queuing those up to deliver those in the right order by solving their next problem, anticipate the next problem for them? Yep. If I know somebody's on my list because they came through a baby shower, by golly, I'm thinking through what are the next things that she's thinking about. Yep. And it takes away all of this stress about, hey, let me send an email. I got to send an email out this week. Right. Instead, you are creating a journey. In the corporate world, in the tech world, they call that onboarding. Yep. What I am suggesting is that bloggers simply do onboarding, but do it for a long time. It's a long onboard. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do it week over week over week.
And
wait, one time.
And in that process, are you also serving up things so that you can monetize?
Oh, absolutely. If that works, so every blogger's got different things. Some people have courses, some people have affiliate links, some people have sponsorship. I think any of that is all fair game. Again, it's just thinking through the journey for that Instant Pot person. Right. Could I 3 weeks from now, after I've served her with really great content for a little bit, could I send her one that is my 15 can't live without Instant Pot accessories that takes them to a post that is all Amazon affiliate links? Absolutely, I can. Yep. Because I've built that trust. Yep. I've built that domain expertise. Yep. And they're like, holy cow, Matt really knows Instant Pot.
Right. And that those 15, let's say, tools or whatever, those things you need to buy actually will help this woman. Not, oh, this is just Matt trying to make money.
Right, exactly. Because it's all about establishing that credibility. The trust comes when you solve my problems over and over again. When you share with me baby shower themes. Right. If you share with me some really good baby shower themes, I'm like, oh, that helped me out. That solved the problem for me. And then you send me another email that solves my next problem unexpectedly. I'm like, oh, it's like she's in my head and her ideas are gold. Yes. You get 3 emails in and you want to sell me a course about, how to be the best mom or how to avoid postpartum depression or I don't know. Right. I'm much more apt, much more likely to get into that, to make a purchase and evaluate that than I would otherwise.
Yeah, I think that is really powerful. So let's talk then about the logistics. And I know that you like ConvertKit, but you also are platform agnostic, right? You know, your courses and what you teach can work on MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or any of the drip or whatever. But let's talk about then your thinking in terms of segmenting your audience.
Sure.
So for example, like somebody who's throwing a graduation party for Catch My Party is not interested in baby shower stuff.
Right. Okay, so people are going to get, this is a stumbling block for many people. They get stuck here because they feel like they've got to have all the answers all at once. Which is why I go back to, again, referring back to the previous podcast episode, go listen to the Quick Start Guide. That's a generalist approach. Obviously, the more segmented our audience and the better we can serve somebody based on her needs and what she's thinking about, the more effective we will be, the better we will be at building brand.
Right, and helping and providing value.
Providing value. So if I came in, just to illustrate the example further, if I landed it on the site thanks to Instant Pot, but there's all sorts of other recipes. And because I don't do anything specific for the Instant Pot, I do, here are my five favorite ways to get dinner on the table fast. Okay, that's good. That probably talks to me, but that's not as good as, here's my 5 ways to get more out of your Instant Pot. So should you do one or the other? Well, it depends. Like if I had a website and I was getting a ton of traffic in on the Instant Pot and I knew how to build that right now, I would build that right now.
Okay.
I would bang out my opt-in, my lead magnet, whatever it is, to start acquiring those people. And then I can create a segment for them, a sequence for them. Depending on the platform you use, you tag them, you know, whatever you call them, and you can serve them differently. So sure, is it overwhelming at first to think, especially if you're a lifestyle blogger and you've got
all these different segments. Yes.
Parenting. I get it. Just pick one. We're overthinking this, guys. And I'm a little bit adamant about this because I hear it so often and people get so stuck. Because we've also heard, you need to niche down. You need to get into, you got to figure out who you really serve. And I tend to agree with that for the most part. But with what you have, I promise you can get more out of it than what you're doing by simply providing a great hook, get them onto the list, and think through the next 10 emails you're going to send them. If you just did that, holy cow, wouldn't that be a more amazing experience for that Instant Pot reader, for your baby shower reader than what you're doing today? And then if that worked, couldn't you just go, well, you know what? I'm going to go to these other, remember I said the Google Analytics list?
Yep.
I'm going to go to another one on that list. I'm going to do that.
Yep.
Don't worry about, I guess what I'm telling people is don't freak out that you don't have the whole picture figured out. I don't have the whole thing figured out for my individual blogs, for my businesses. Sometimes I'm taking them segment at a time. Sometimes I'm in the shower and I'm like, oh my goodness, I could do X, Y, and Z. I could send these guys that. And then I go build that thing.
Right.
I know how to build it.
So I would say this, which is, I think that as entrepreneurs, we aren't always gentle with ourselves. And I think what you're saying is be gentle with yourself because it can be overwhelming otherwise. You know, like look at, say, I can tackle this small piece and do it and then congratulate yourself on doing it rather than looking at this huge hole, this huge task ahead of you or these 500 tasks ahead of you and say, oh my God, I'll never do this. To just go, you know what? I'm going to go piece by piece, bit by bit and start there.
Marketing is an art. Yes, there's science to it, but it is mostly an art. And I have found that most artists get better at their craft by experimenting. And so I start with something broad like a quick start guide in my course and in my consulting. But honest to goodness, just pick something that will start getting people onto your list because it's going to open up a whole world of ideas. Most people are freaked out about the technology side of it too. How do I actually do that? Well, so you know what? Take a course. Take my course.
Okay.
Take somebody else's course. Follow the help guides that are available in MailChimp, on Mad Mimi, on ActiveCamp, whatever you use.
Right.
Just go do the very basics and get started. And I promise you, it's not as scary as you think. If you've been blogging, been using WordPress, been using Pinterest, been using Instagram, been using Facebook, you can do email as well.
Right. And in fact, I recommend just going to YouTube, That's what I did. Like we use ActiveCampaign and I was reading their guides and stuff. And then I just found a guy who on YouTube and he just kind of walked me through it. And somehow that was just easier. Like there are ways, to find without, it's not as complicated. At least that was helpful for me. Put it that way.
If anybody that's within the sound of my voice ever gets stuck on something in email, no charge. Just email me, and I will point you in the direction to get you unstuck. I promise.
Okay. What's your email?
It's Matt at personalizedpaths.com.
Okay. Great.
And that is, it's easier than you think, guys.
That's great. And I do think that email providers now, like ConvertKit or MailChimp or any of them, are really trying to make it easier.
Absolutely. The technology is getting more powerful. Thus, some of it can get more complex. There are some platforms that I steer away from because I call one Confusionsoft because it's too confusing. For most people, for beginners.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So yes, I get it. Some of the terms, sometimes it's jargon, but wasn't WordPress kind of that way when you first used it? And wasn't Pinterest that way the first time you used it? So anyway, I feel like I'm beating this horse dead.
No, but I do think
I hear it all the time.
I think as entrepreneurs, we know that we're constantly having to learn. We are generalists, and it's like, a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and then Instagram comes out with a new feature and you've got to figure out whether how that works and whether you're going to incorporate it. So it's just another, I feel like of anybody who's going to learn this, it's like bloggers will figure this out because they figure everything out.
Yeah, totally.
Hey, are you a blogger or entrepreneur who loves their business but is a little overwhelmed with all that you have to do in a day? Well, you are not alone. We all feel this way. So I want to share a pop-up tool that will increase your social media followers, grow your email list, build your traffic, and it is called MyLatorre. MyLatorre is a pop-up app that my husband David built for our first site, Catch My Party. In the 4 years that we've been using the MyLatorre pop-up on Catch My Party, our Pinterest account has grown exponentially to over 1.1 million followers. And our Instagram has grown to over 160,000 followers. And these social networks now drive millions of page views to our site every single month. MyLatorre works to grow followers on Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It'll grow your sales on Shopify or Etsy, and it will even grow your email list. You can focus on growing one platform at a time or switch between several. The choice is yours. MyLatorre. It's easy to install. You can do it in under 3 minutes. It's completely optimized. Right now, you can get your first 30 days for free. Just go to MyLatorre.com to sign up for your free trial. If you are not converting your site visitors into followers, subscribers, and customers, you need to change your strategy. To take the first step, head over to MyLatorre.com and start your free trial. There's no risk, and you'll be joining thousands of other professional bloggers who are already using MyLatorre to grow their businesses. As a bonus, once you sign up, I'll send you valuable business tips each week to help you continue to accelerate your growth. You can't be everywhere all the time, so let MyLatorre work for you. It's fast, it's easy, and it gets results. So what are you waiting for? Head to MyLatorre.com and start your free trial. So let's talk then about the old way of thinking, which is I got to send my list an email every week, like a broadcast, or instead of doing what you're saying, which is you want to be almost surgical about it.
I believe that most prolific content creators can get away with sending multiple emails a week.
Okay.
Maybe that's controversial, but so what I typically recommend people do is they set up their automated email sequences. Right. Like for the Instant Pot people.
Right.
That's based on evergreen.
Okay.
So that's what I call the forever series. I build that out as far as I can go. If that's a week, if that's a year's worth of content, awesome.
Yep.
I write 52 emails if I have to.
Yep.
And so every week that just runs. For more information on the forever series, again, go back to the last podcast. But the broadcast, the format is still the same. It's not evergreen, it's seasonal. So instead of it being about the latest thing that I just did, it's more about the greatest way that I can serve you right now.
Okay.
It's Memorial Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably being invited to some parties or some outdoor barbecues. Here's how you can use your Instant Pot to wow the crowds at your Memorial Day barbecue.
Now, wait, let's go back. So let's say I'm a lifestyle blogger and I do fashion and I do food and I do all this stuff. Do you recommend I send a broadcast email to every segment that I have? Or do I not worry about that and kind of go, well, you know, the people who come to me for parenting advice might also be interested in fashion for summer?
The answer, like many things in marketing, is it depends.
Okay.
If I'm a lifestyle blogger where the crossover is strong, meaning like I know that there's a certain age demo that, you know, follows my lifestyle stuff that also has similar fashion interests. So I can safely send out home decor and fashion things in a broadcast.
Okay.
And I might experiment with that. This week it was fashion. Let's see, was I on point? What was the engagement like?
Got it.
Did people,
Yep.
did people like that? If people didn't open it and click, then that tells me something.
Right.
But I'm also not afraid to go where my biggest audience is, where I can make the most for me, meaning where I can, and that sounded wrong, where I can serve the most people. It's probably a better way to put it.
Yep.
And you kind of do so unapologetically. So sometimes I don't know, sometimes going through this process actually helps you hone in on your audience a little bit more.
I like that you send out something and then you go look and see what the open rate is.
Oh, yeah.
Or what the click-through rate is. And you go, oh, they like this or they didn't like that, you know? I like that. I mean, again, I feel like I don't do that enough. But whenever I do, I gain insight into my audience. Oh, they liked it when I shared this personal thing. Or, oh, they liked this productivity hack. Or they want tactical things.
Totally.
You know, this is for MyLatorre, that kind of thing. Now, what about then connecting your email list to like an RSS feed? And would you explain what that is? Sure.
So for anybody who's been online for a while now, we used to have these things called RSS readers, which were kind of these that would update us when our favorite blogs that we followed, whenever they had a new article or post added. And so they still exist today, and every WordPress account has a built-in feed, RSS feed, that you can just add into something like ConvertKit, MailChimp, Mad Mimi, whatever, and it will automatically send out your latest post, your latest recipe, your latest article. Now, the problem I have with RSS feed emails, I shouldn't say most, many people take that and make that their default. That's all they're sending.
Right.
Which I don't blame them, right? They're like, okay, I can drop this into MailChimp. I pick this template and off it goes. I'm done with my email.
Right.
At least some people will click that and some people will come back. Here's the problem, though. What you're doing there is you're sending them the latest, not the greatest. You're assuming that they're a diehard that wants to know everything about you. But remember, they landed on that Instant Pot meatballs page thanks to Pinterest. They didn't know who you were.
Right.
You get them on the list because of an Instant Pot secrets guide or a checklist of how to use the Instant Pot. And now all of a sudden you send them every little thing that you ever post. I think of that as a reader. Now, I don't want that. You don't want that. Nobody really wants that, except maybe your mom and your ex-boyfriends who are keeping tabs on you,
right?
No, those people do.
Yeah.
So for those people, again, with today's technology being what it is, I usually recommend making that an option. Like, do you want instant alerts? Yeah, yes, I do. Raise your hand and then get opted into it. And then give them the option to opt down, not out. You're like, hey, are you tired of receiving instant alerts? Here, click this and I'll only send you my weekly whatever.
Right. I like that because I find those RSS emails to feel impersonal.
Yeah.
And not always relevant. So I will typically opt out of them when I discover, this is just their blog post. Like, it might be relevant. It might not be relevant to me.
I might be posting right now an article about Halloween because I'm trying to get it out in front so that there's SEO traffic.
So you can pin it and all that stuff.
That's right. So I get out in front of the trend. But hitting them in August with Halloween pumpkin stencils is not really that interesting.
I totally get that. That makes sense. That makes sense. We used to do that in Catch My Party, and we stopped because, again, I thought it felt too impersonal.
Right.
So that's good. You just validated the way I was thinking about it. Now, if we were to talk tactics, ready? How long should an email be typically?
Okay. Well, again, most people can empathize with this. How long do you want your emails to be that arrive on your phone?
Not long.
No, you're not there to you're not checking your email to read these big long things. So
right.
the function of an email, in my opinion, is to get me to a solution.
Right.
So whatever that means. Sometimes that's a little longer because you got to explain it a little bit more, but usually less is more. So if you guys want to see super short emails in action, go sign up for Neil Patel's email list. His are literally a sentence. And what he's doing is he's saying things like, want to know what your competitors, or want to see how your competitors get traffic? Click here and I'll show you how.
Right. And then it goes to like a video or a blog post.
Where he is then able to really serve them. And also he benefits from the
SEO,
the ad, whatever ads he's serving or whatever he's selling or whatever.
Yep.
So think about your email as rather than getting into, see, it used to be that we had to have these beautiful newsletters that looked like magazines.
Yep.
Number one, that doesn't work on your phone anymore. And 80% of us are reading emails on phones. So that's why less is more when it comes to your template. Less is more when it comes to your content. Get to the point. Don't talk about your cats.
Yes.
Nobody cares about you and your cats.
Yes.
Unless you're Taylor Swift.
Yes.
And you're probably not Taylor Swift.
Yes.
But get it straight to the point.
Okay.
As quick as you can.
And lots of space, like period, lots,
as far as formatting, use a button, use a really big link, go minimal on the number of links that you use. Just remember the rule of thumbs is that most people are clicking with their thumbs on their phone.
Okay.
And so you want it to be like, seriously, if you're not going to put a button in, at least make the link like really big font.
And how about also, like, I find that sometimes the text is really small on my phone.
Yeah.
So do you recommend people use larger fonts?
That's what I do.
Okay.
I'm typically in like the Arial 17 to 18.
Okay, that's good to know.
At least, because I'm getting a little bit up there. So I can empathize now with reading something on my device. Right.
Well, there I am, like pinching to try to, and I go, oh, it's too hard. And that's the other thing, which is when people are reading emails on their phones, they're in line at Target. Like they're not just sitting here going, oh my God, Matt sent me an email. Let me sit down and digest this. They're like, what's he saying? I don't, oh, okay. Like that's how I respond to email on my phone.
On our side, when we're writing the email, usually we are sitting at our desktop on our big monitors and we're crafting these out on a desktop environment. So when you send yourself a preview, make sure you check it on your phone every single time.
Yes. And make sure, this is what I would say, read it over and make sure it's not about you.
Sure.
Meaning make sure that the providing value is right there up front.
Right. What problem are you solving?
Right.
What problem are you solving? Because if you're not solving a problem, then what's the point of sending the email?
Absolutely. Okay, so now let's talk about subject line. And people talk about that you should spend, like that we don't spend enough time on our subject lines. What is your thought about that?
This is absolutely true. I've heard the same advice. I've heard people say things like, you should spend as much time writing the subject line as you did the body of the email. Now, maybe that's overkill, but I think that the spirit of that message is clear.
Okay.
That it is so important because if they say no to the subject line, meaning
they're never going to get
don't open it.
Yeah.
Everything else you did is for naught.
Yep.
So, my favorite subject line formula that I stumbled across, I think I found it specifically, I got to give them credit, on Sumo's website, and this resonated with me as far as crystallizing it, was, and of course there's a gazillion subject line formulas. I'm not saying that this is how you have to write a subject line, but this is what I think of when I'm writing one. Curiosity plus self-interest.
Ooh, okay.
Give you an example. 5 ways the Instant Pot helped my love life. Which true fact, I'm writing an article about how Instant Pot helped my love life, guys. So, yeah, wait for that. But you're curious now, aren't you?
I am.
And your self-interest is piqued because, well, love life and
right.
Instant Pot, right? So you're like, okay, all right, I got to see this. What is he talking about? And then you have to deliver the goods.
Right.
Like I went a little silly there, but and if I did that too often, then they result he's just clickbaiting me.
Right.
So, but if I legit had 5 recipes for Valentine's Day,
right,
for Instant Pot,
right,
that subject line would work.
Okay.
It might work. It's what I might try. So
okay.
Curiosity plus self-interest equals opens.
Interesting. Okay, I just wrote that down. And then how long do you need to be aware of? I tend to be wordy in my headlines or in my subject lines.
There's lots of studies on length of subject line, and less is more.
Yep.
But I think people worry about it too much. I think it's more of a feel thing.
Okay.
Read it, look at it. Can I shorten this?
Okay.
Yes, I can. And the same is true for all your content related to email.
Yep.
Write it.
Yep.
Get up, walk around, do the hokey pokey, sit back down, and then ask yourself, how do I cut the word count in half?
Yes. By the way, before starting companies, I was a writer in Hollywood, and I am ruthless at editing. And I think it makes anyone a better writer if you just cut.
Totally.
It's shocking, and we fall in love with our babies, and which, are like in Hollywood, like, you write jokes and you fall in love with your jokes and you have to learn to cut them. And it's painful, but I feel like when people will say, wow, you're such a I don't know, like pithy writer. I'm thinking, oh my God, because I just cut the crap out of this.
Right.
It's not like there's any magic. It's just take out all of those filler words and all that stuff. And it reads so much better.
You could probably do, and I think this would apply, you could probably do a podcast just on copywriting, whether it's for all sorts of things related to the internet. Obviously, there's SEO writing, there's email writing, there's writing for Facebook, for Pinterest, for Instagram. There's probably, but usually it comes down to, I boil it down to, what can I communicate what problem I am solving? If I can do that, then I win. Because that's what they care about on the other side.
Yep.
Anything else that obfuscates that problem.
Yes, good SAT word there. Yes.
Just kidding. I had to really think about that. I hope you edited it if I didn't say that right.
No, I think you did. Yeah, I liked it. Yes.
Anyway, so that's my 2 cents on
okay, now here's one. Ready? Emojis versus no emojis. Or ready? GIFs.
Sure.
Tell me your thoughts.
I love them. If they get attention. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, you can do anything overkill. Emojis are great because they don't really count against the overall weight of the email, meaning, without getting too technical, one of the factors that ESPs look at to determine if something should be promotional is how heavy, quote unquote, heavy is this in terms of file size? Does it have massive images in it?
Okay.
If it does, then it's probably promotional because most of us don't send personal emails with.
Like think of your Banana Republic emails that come.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Right. But emojis are wonderful ways to just communicate either a feeling. I'm a big fan.
Okay. Even in your subject lines.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. There's actually I've read studies on that too. It's not massive differences in terms of open rates, but when done right, it can influence for the better your open rate.
Okay. Because I like it personally. I feel like it adds, again, without having to use words, it just kind of gives it emotion.
Yep.
And it warms it up.
It lightens it. It makes it fun. There's a lot going for emojis, I think.
Okay, now here's another one of these kind of tactical questions. Pruning your list. Like, it's weirdly painful because you feel like I've collected all these people and now I have to let them go. But it also saves you money.
Yeah.
And it also kind of helps your stats in terms of open rates and stuff. Like, do you want to be carrying all this dead weight?
So how often they should prune is really it depends question.
Okay.
Let me address actually the whole pruning, psychology. One of the reasons it's painful is because it was painful to acquire the subscriber.
Yes.
So it's painful to let them go. I told you that I'm an aggressive email acquirer, so I'm also an aggressive pruner.
Okay.
If they don't like my stuff, I don't like them. Goodbye. I don't want to pay for them.
Right.
But I also know that I think about it differently. I'm coming up with new ways to get the right people onto my list, the Instant Pot thing that we were talking about before. I'm going to get a lot more of them onto my list, and then I'm going to try to serve them. And if I'm not serving them right, I don't want to pay the cost of having them linger and hang on.
Yep.
Now, there are some, so I prune regularly, but I give it a chance. Usually I give people a chance to see if they're going to fog a mirror for me. And then, maybe 2 or 3 months later, then I prune. But I prune once every 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
And there are sometimes exceptions.
Okay.
The exceptions might be I have a book coming out. And I need to have a big list to show my publisher that that I could send a lot of emails. So that's number one. Number two might be I have a course coming out, and I know that if I can get just a few of those guys to purchase off of my list.
Right.
And the third is when I'm in transition of email strategies. So I get a lot of new clients that have just been sending out RSS emails.
Right.
And their open rates are kind of and they're like, well, should we just clean it all up? And I say, well, wait a second. Let's try our new techniques
and see how they respond. Yeah.
To see, does this bring them back? It's the equivalent of win back in action. And then we prune.
Yes. Yes. And what would you say is a great open rate? What is a pretty good open rate? And at what point are you like, whoa, we need a new strategy?
It's all relative to the list. Okay. I don't even want to give a number on that. I just give you some different examples. Okay. So let's say that I am an attorney, and I talk about trademark law, and I have an email hook, and I'm getting 50 email subscribers every 2 months.
Okay.
Now I'm hoping that when I send out stuff related to trademark law, that list has super ridiculously high open rates, because it was a really small thing.
Right.
Let's say that you give out a birthday sign on Pinterest that says happy birthday, and it's really cute, and people have to give you their email address.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, but your open rates on any email to that list is going to be low, but that might be okay.
Right.
Because they were so cheap to acquire.
Right.
Our overall total clicks went up, our overall total engagement went up, and I'm going to prune the heck out of that more aggressively.
Yep.
So, sorry, that's not this percentage is great, and this percentage is not.
Right.
As in marketing, it depends.
Right.
And I know it when I see it, but usually it's kind of like golf. You should just always be working to make yours better.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Oh, Matt, I feel like this has been such a wealth of knowledge, like such a wealth of information. I feel like you've inspired me to go back, especially with Catch My Party right now, and like you've gotten my wheels turning.
Awesome.
So do you have any parting advice for our audience trying to work their email list, and also how can people reach out to you?
Sure.
I know we talked about it in the middle, but just in general.
Yeah, no. So just about me, I have a course called Email on Autopilot. You can get to it at emailonautopilot.com. If you want a little sampling that's free, that you don't have to pay for, you freeloaders, go to emailjumpstart.com, and you'll see some actionable tips in video format. They're really short. Those will really help you. So if you want to find me that way, it's Email on Autopilot, and Email Jumpstart is probably the best. My last piece of wisdom is going to be the first piece that I gave you. It's so important, I want to reiterate it, and that is to adopt an email marketing mindset. At the point when you are writing, so in your case, Jillian, you're going to write new content for MyLatorre or for Catch My Party coming up. You're writing that piece of content. Think about when you're writing it. What is the value? What is the extra little bonus that I could give the people that need that are going to land on this page, that I could give them in exchange for an email. That is a change, a complete change in how you're thinking about email acquisition.
Definitely.
If you did that, I promise you, you are days and weeks away from a thriving, growing list, because it's the mindset more than anything. What problem can I solve for my reader? And what can I give her in exchange for her email?
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. And by the way, I'm in the midst of your course and I highly recommend it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
So, Matt, I love this. Thank you so much for coming on the show and being so generous with what you're sharing. And what was so interesting is in part 1, so many people responded back to me to say how much they enjoyed it. So if you guys are liking this episode, please let me know and I'll pass it on to Matt so that maybe you could come back for a part 3.
Anytime, Jillian. This is so fun.
Oh, great. Well, Matt, thank you so much for being on the show. I hope you liked this episode as much as I did, and I hope you learned a ton. If you are enjoying the Blogger Genius podcast, please head to iTunes and rate us. It helps get the podcast found, and then I can continue to bring awesome guests on the show like Matt. So I will see you here again next week.